Coach Sully, a lot of people work really, really hard and still feel like they're spinning their wheels. And that's because goals just isn't enough. You need to have more. You need to have purpose, you need to have alignment, and you need to have identity to really move yourself forward. This week, I've been thinking about alignment and identity and what I call the warrior's path. Now, in order to really get set on that path, you have to understand the difference between purpose and goals. And I think that's where a lot of people slip up. A lot of people think that because they are accomplishing goals, or they think that they're going to find fulfillment in life by just accomplishing goals, by just achieving things, by just accumulating things, wealth, possessions, titles, and things like that. But then they walk down that road and find that their life isn't as fulfilling as they would like it to be. And that's where you have to be able to differentiate between purpose and goals. Purpose is really the path that you're on. It's less about a destination. And then goals are the destinations along that path. So your goals are like the vehicle driving, and your purpose is the direction that you're going. If you go full force, full speed, and you're headed in the opposite direction which you would like to go, when you get to wherever you're going, you're not going to feel like you got anywhere. So it's important to identify your purpose first, and then that will make goal setting and goal reaching a much more fulfilling thing in your life. When you set the direction that you want your life to go in, the road, because you identify the road, becomes a lot clearer. Things make a lot more sense. And when you align on the path that you're meant to be on, you start to come across less resistance. There's less things fighting you. You don't feel like you're scraping up a uphill. You don't feel like you're fighting gravity. And that's where when you're able to uncover your purpose, you start to build up momentum. The path starts to become, there's always going to be hard work. There's always going to be discipline, but these things are not going to be draining. And you're not going to be coming across constant friction. Working hard isn't everything. There's a lot of people that work really, really hard and come home to an unhappy, unfulfilled life. Most people work really hard. Most people, when they go into work, they're dedicated, they do their jobs, they're reliable. All the things that you are taught all the things that you're taught that should give you fulfillment in life. When you don't have purpose identified in your life, all of those attributes, all of those noble attributes end up feeling like they're all for nothing. All of the discipline. Now, discipline is another thing that a lot of folks feel like they struggle with. I don't think people feel like they're. I think that everyone has some area in their life where they exhibit discipline, but some areas in their life they don't exhibit discipline. And what determines where your discipline is applied is devotion. So if you take a parent, and I see this all the time at the gym, where people will say, well, I'm not disciplined. Well, I said, well, you're a parent, right? You get up every morning to get your kids ready for school. Are you undisciplined with that? They say no. When it's time to pick your kids up at the end of the day, are you undisciplined with that? They say no. When your kid calls, it needs something, are you undisciplined with that? No. When you're at work and your boss says, hey, I need this done by such and such date, you get it done. That's because you're devoted to those things where you're applying discipline. So if you want to apply discipline, you have to identify something to be devoted to. And if you notice, a lot of these things are a lot of the struggle that we are confronted with in life is not the physical struggle, it's the mental struggle, it's the framing, it's the perspective that gets us confused. Because you have somebody who's totally aligned with their path, working hard, and their hard work gives them fulfillment. And then you have somebody who's not aligned with their path, working even harder, and their hard work, it doesn't give them fulfillment. So it's not the work, it's the framing, it's the perspective. And the same thing with discipline. If there are areas in your life where you feel like you lack discipline and you need that discipline, then you need to reframe it and change the story that you're telling to yourself about this thing. And that will give you the discipline that you need. And when you have that devotion, that discipline almost feels effortless. You don't, again, using that same example of getting your kids up for school in the morning. You're not fighting the alarm clock. You're the first person up. You're waking everybody else up. But because you're not devoted to the thing where you say you lack discipline, that's where you're fighting the alarm clock. That's when you're hitting the snooze button. So your identity must come before your outcome. A lot of times people tell themselves, well, if I get this, or I reach this, or I accomplish this, then I'll feel differently about my identity. That don't mean that I'm such and such or so and so. That don't mean that I'm important. No, you have to become important before you get the things. It's the order in which life works is first you have to become, you have to be, then you can do, then you can have. Because the person that is, it's easy for them to do. And then the person that does, it's easy for them to have. So if you're looking at something or a lifestyle or something that you want, instead of even worrying about what you need to do, you should be worrying about who you need to be. You should be looking at the people who you admire, the people who have accomplished and fulfilled the things that you say you want to fulfill, and say, well, who are these people? What do these people believe about themselves? What kind of stories are these people telling themselves? You have to embrace that identity. And when you have the identity, when you do the work to change your identity or transform your identity into, into the person that has what you want, then doing what it takes to get that becomes a no-brainer. It's be, do, have. So you have to become the person that the mission requires. If you're taking on something new, if you're looking to get particular outcomes in your life, who is that person that gets the things that you want? Who is that person that accomplishes the things that you want to accomplish? What does this mission require that I'm not doing? Who does this mission require me to be that I am not? And when you understand that your identity is where it all starts, that's where you start to walk the what I call the warrior's path. The warrior was a warrior before they became an expert in martial arts. When I see people step on the mat, I've seen people with have never thrown a punch before in their life step on the mat and pick things up in a matter of months. And that's because that person walked through the door a warrior before they knew what to do to become a warrior, before they won any competitions. They became the warrior first. And that's how the warrior's path works. Be, do, have. So when we're looking at these people in admiration, the thing that we need to make sure that stands out to us the most is that these people are breathing the same air as us. These people once didn't know what they know now. These people didn't have the things that they have now. So then we have to look into who are, like I said, instead of mystifying these people, we have to look into who are these people? What do they think about themselves? What kind of stories are they telling themselves? What do they believe about themselves? We should look at them as examples, as proof. So when you set out on a warrior's path, it's not just about achieving things, I'm sorry. It's not just about performing anything. It's about who you are. And that path is less about accolades, accomplishments, possessions, and more about discovery. It's a journey, not a destination. So the warrior's path is all about identity. You can be a warrior and never have fought in a war, and you can be in a war and not be a warrior. It's all about identity. All right, guys, I got to run. Hopefully that was something that was useful, beneficial. We'll see you next week. Coach Sully, Reps and Sweat, Frederick, Maryland. This was MatChat.